I'm Edwin Cantu, and this is Mentor Moments, insights from mentors, community leaders, business leaders, authors, and friends. The topic of today's talk is Imposter Syndrome at data point blank. This actually came about, I was working with a client and she wanted to start a new business. She had been working as a full-time mom and was wanting to get back into the industry. She had great experience, but because she had taken some time away, she had these feelings of imposter syndrome. Now, imposter syndrome is occasionally that feeling that we get that we don't deserve the opportunities that we've gotten, or we feel that we're just faking it, like we don't actually know what we're doing, or that doubt of, can I actually compete at this level? At least that's kind of my basic understanding of imposter syndrome. It often happens when you are entirely qualified, or you know you're ready, you've earned at least the opportunity to do something, and yet you question yourself. It's these moments of self-doubt. I think it's important to keep in mind that imposter syndrome is at a certain moment in time. And so in her case, she had had no clients. And so she had all these insecurities about what it would be like if once she got her first client or her first 4 or 5 clients, and she wasn't sure if they were going to view her as capable or competent. And a lot of the conversation ended up gearing towards this insight that came about whenever we were discussing business from a scientific lens. And I said, that's fine. It's fair for you to feel that way. And especially with everything that you've had and experienced and having been out of the workforce for a while, it's completely understandable that you would feel that way. My only suggestion would be to view it as having imposter syndrome at data point 0. You have no clients. You haven't worked with anyone yet in this new capacity that you want to work with them in. Let's reevaluate once we have 2 data points, 1 data point, 7 data points. Let's see if those internal beliefs are still there, or if they're lessened, or if they're more. It almost ended up becoming like a business therapy session, just because a lot of the internal knots that we have to deal with before we undertake a challenge are constantly there. Whether we want to start a business, whether it's leaving a relationship, whether it's getting into a relationship, whether it's going on an adventure, and sometimes we have these fears and these internal things. I think it's really, really helpful, again, to view it as at data point blank. Remembering that it's just a moment in time. If what you're hearing is helpful, consider sending it to someone else you think might appreciate it. Sharing the message is what really helps the channel grow. Again, I wish this was a conversation that someone would have had with me earlier on. There's a lot of times of self-doubt, and even now I still have moments of self-doubt. But I think viewing things, again, from this lens and from this framework would really help to ease some of that insecurity, not necessarily make it go away, but almost have a better understanding that it's entirely fine to feel this way. It's entirely fine to have self-doubt, to not have proven yourself before, and so you're questioning whether you're capable of doing it. But remembering that this is just at data point 1. In business, we evaluate businesses based on their profit and loss statements, balance sheets, statement of cash flows. Well, your balance sheet is almost a snapshot of a one-day thing. So if you evaluate a business based on when they started compared to 3 years down the line, when they have multiple trucks, they have a couple of employees, they have a marketing budget, they look like entirely different businesses just from the balance sheet. And so I think it's fair for us it's fair, but it's also kind and I think helpful to do that for ourselves, remembering that, yes, right now I may not be at the weight that I want or the body fat percentage that I want, but that's currently where I am today. Let's see how I'm feeling once I lose 2 body fat percentage. Let's see what happens once I'm 15 workouts in. When getting the first workout in, I was so sore and I was maybe insecure about what I would look like at the gym or whatever kind of insecurities come to mind. Just remembering that we're just at data point 0, 4, 5. And remembering that our internal journey and our experience of the journey is going to change based on how many reps that we have. And so it's okay to have imposter syndrome, but just keep in mind, that's how you're feeling right now. Let's see what you're going to feel like in the future. And again, that was a conversation that I wish I could have had that came up from a client meeting that I thought was really insightful. And I think it would have been helpful to have that conversation a bit earlier in my life. And just when I was working with students, having that conversation with them about an exam. They might have thought they prepared well, but studying in high school is very different than studying in college, or going to online high school compared to in-person college, different experience. And so remembering that it's a long journey. Don't be too harsh on yourself given where you are right now. Almost be curious about what it's going to look like whenever you are a little bit further ahead. What do you think? Does this reflect your own experience? Let me know in the comments. And if you watch the whole video, you might as well like the video and subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for listening.